Hi, we are continuing with the topic of past adjustments. In this video, we will see an example sum demonstrating rectification of error by passing multiple adjustment entries. Let's go to the example. Example: P, Q and R are partners in a firm. Their capital accounts stood at rupees 3 lakh, rupees 1,50,000 and rupees 1,50,000 respectively on 1st April 2018. As per the provisions of the deed, R was to be allowed a remuneration of rupees 36,000 per annum. Interest at 5% per annum was to be provided on the capital, and the profits were to be distributed in the ratio of 2:2:1. Ignoring the above terms, the net profit of rupees 1,80,000 for the year ended 31st March 2019 was distributed among the three partners equally. Pass journal entries to rectify the error. So the errors which have been made on going through the problem, we find the first error is that the net profit of 1,80,000 has been distributed in the wrong ratio, which is 1:1:1. It is supposed to be distributed in the ratio of 2:2:1. That is the first mistake. The second mistake was R was not given his remuneration of rupees 36,000 per annum. And the third mistake, interest at 5% per annum on the capitals of the partners. For P it's rupees 3 lakh, for Q it's rupees 1,50,000 and for R also it is 1,50,000. This interest on capital has not been provided. Now our approach to the problem would be to reverse the profits in the wrong ratio, allow the remuneration to R and also allow interest on capital. Now we are going to rectify the errors by passing multiple journal entries. So for each error which is made, we will determine whether the partner's capital account, in this case because we are going to assume the fluctuating capital method. So we will determine whether the partner's capital account has to be debited or credited, and for each error we will pass an adjustment entry. So let's begin with the solution. Solution: journal entries in the books of the firm. Date, particulars, LF, debit rupees and credit rupees. All the journal entries will be on 1st April 2019. The first entry is to reverse the profits in the wrong ratio, which is equal 1:1:1. For reversing profits, we know we need to debit the partner's capital and credit profit and loss adjustment account. So P capital account debit, Q capital account debit R capital account debit to profit and loss adjustment account. The total profits 1,80,000 and it needs to be reversed in the wrong ratio, which is 1:1:1. So on dividing by 3 we get 60,000 each partner. Narration being profits reversed in 1:1:1. The next journal entry is to give remuneration of 36,000 to R. For allowing a remuneration to R, I need to credit R's capital account. So I will debit the profit and loss adjustment account. Profit and loss adjustment account debit to R capital account. Amount 36,000. Being remuneration allowed to R the next step is to allow interest on capital at 5% per annum to P, Q and R. For allowing interest on capital, we need to credit the partner's capital account. So again I will debit the profit and loss adjustment account. To P's capital account to Q's capital account to R's capital account. Interest on capital for P, it's 5% on 3 lakh, which is 15,000. And for Q and R each, it is 5% on 1,50,000, which is 7,500. And the total interest on capital is rupees 30,000. Being interest on capital allowed. We have rectified the errors, and the next step is to close the profit and loss adjustment account and transfer the balance to the partner's capital accounts in the correct ratio, which is 2:2:1. Let's find out the debit totals and the credit totals. Credit 1,80,000 is in the first entry. In the second entry, profit and loss adjustment account is debited with 36,000, and in the third entry also the profit and loss adjustment account is debited with another 30,000. So the total debit is rupees 66,000, whereas the total credit is rupees 1,80,000. To close the profit and loss adjustment account, I need to debit profit and loss adjustment account with 1,14,000, which is the difference between 1,80,000 and 66,000, and this has to be distributed among P, Q and R in 2:1. So let's go ahead with that entry. Profit and loss adjustment account debit 1,14,000 to P capital account. I need to divide by 5 and multiply by 2. 1,14,000 divided by 5, I get 22,800. So each partner P will get 22,800 into 2, which is 45,600, to Q capital account. Q also gets 45,600 to R capital account. R gets only 22,800, being adjustment entry passed to transfer profit on adjustment. I'll remove the split and we can see the solution. So this is the solution. The 4 entries passed. For each error which we rectify, we need to pass a adjustment entry. And finally, we need to close the profit and loss adjustment account by transferring the profit in this case to the capital accounts.